Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibrations so you can live your best life. Wanted to bring to you today a fun and special topic, spiritual parenting. So we talk a lot about healing trauma on this channel, overcoming the dark night of the soul, and all of the repercussions or side effects essentially that come from that. And as you know, if you did not feel safe, seen, heard, cared for, or loved as a child, that is what creates both complex trauma or the unworthiness wound. And so I wanted to give you 11 tips today on how to prevent that from happening to your child. And part of the challenge with raising kids in this society is that society in general is sending us the message that we are unworthy all the time, that the system, the school systems, the 9-to-5 job system for parents, it's very difficult for children to receive all that they need and also maintain the worthiness and the self-worth that one deserves and is born with in this society. And so we as spiritual parents have an even more important task of instilling in our children the accurate beliefs and perceptions of the world around us. And if we are not speaking about the programming that is happening, they will not realize what is being put into their subconscious mind. And so this is not one of the 11 tips, but it's coming to mind now is I talk to my kids a lot about marketing and what are commercials and why do they tell me I need that toy, or why do they tell me I need that soap or whatever it is. And my kids they're pretty funny, and they're like, oh, they just want you to buy it, they just want you to buy it. And so they're starting to understand what is the underlying message that is being projected at us at all times, and how do we become stronger than the programming that is all around us. And so these tips don't necessarily have to do with the marketing and the programming around us necessarily, but rather the programming that we want to instill with intention as parents. And so these are not only beliefs that we need to have as spiritual beings, as good-hearted beings, human beings, period, really. But it's also something that we need to talk about and to keep top of mind with our families and with our kids and with our friends and everyone around us, so that we can really start to spread this message and remember your value and worth. So tip number one is pretty much what I just said. You are valuable. Tell your kids very often how valuable they are, not only to you, but to reinforce that they are made perfectly imperfect. They are born with purpose and intention. They have gifts that the world needs. And it is our job as parents, but also as kids and as families, it's our job collectively as a family to start to keep an eye out for what are you really good at. Look for their gifts. Start to pay attention to what they naturally do very easily and effortlessly. So as you know, if you have come to a place of finding your purpose, it's really easy to overlook the things you do so well because it comes so naturally to you. It feels like second nature. And yet those are the things that people outside of you look at you and say, wow, you're really good at that. I wish I could do that as well as you do. And also remind your kids that there's no ego in identifying your gifts, that your creator gave you those gifts so that you could contribute that to the world, but also that they are part of a puzzle, that there are other people who have gifts and strengths in the areas where they have weaknesses. And so their weaknesses are not something to be ashamed of or afraid of or cover or hide, but rather recognize them as opportunities for collaboration, that we are meant to do this together. We need the New Earth construction team. That means there's more than one, that we are all collectively part of building this new Earth together, and the kids are a huge part of that. And so really nurturing their gifts and recognizing, if you love my 7-year-old, almost 7-year-old, she loved shoes. She has loved fashion from day one. She changes her clothes like 6 times a day. The laundry is awesome. Literally to the point where she could barely crawl. She was crawling up to people's shoes, both men and women. She loves shoes. She loves fashion. So that's her thing, right? And I've talked about this before. Your spiritual gift does not mean you have to be a card reader or a psychic medium or have any of the traditional spiritual jobs. That we also can be fashion designers, we can be dancers, we can be musicians, we can be all of the things, because the world needs businesses and spiritual people to steward the world's resources, to create. We need clothing that are built from, or that are made from the right fabrics. I've talked in other previous videos around the frequency of clothing, that wool, cotton, and linen are the highest frequencies, but you can't even mix those three. That it's things like silk or synthetic materials actually lower your vibration. So we need someone who's going to make us a linen outfit that's not just your traditional loose pants and shirt. We need something that looks cool. That, I also like fashion. So point being, we get her classes. She's 7 years old. She is taking a fashion design class. I bought her a sewing kit. I've taught her how to sew. We buy fabric. Do everything you can to nurture the gift of the child early on, because as you know, you can't just all of a sudden flip a switch at 14 as soon as you step into high school and go, okay, now I know what I'm going to do with my life path. These poor kids from 14 to 18 feel so much pressure to figure out what they're going to do with their lives when they haven't spent any of the years prior thinking critically about who they are, what they need, or what their gifts are. So start early, start as early as you can, and help your kids identify their gifts and remind them they are valuable. They are not made by accident. They are made with intention, and they have purpose here on earth, right? Number 2 is the joy and the bliss compass, right? So the kids are going to wonder, what's my gift? Well, what makes you happy? What are you naturally drawn to? What do you love to do? What lights you up? Follow your joy and your bliss. If you learn early, especially if we can cut off the complex trauma at the past, you won't ever lose who you are or what your needs are or what your gifts are, especially if we start nurturing them. So allow your kids the time and space to have free play. Free play is so critically important, because those are the moments, in that painful moment when they come to you and they're like, I'm bored. That's perfect. That is the moment that creativity happens. Watch what happens next. Where do they go? What do they do? And maybe, most of the time they're going to go to the standard toy or the new toy or whatever it is. But my daughter, again, the fashion designer, she's in her room cutting out paper outfits for her Barbies. They will naturally find ways to entertain themselves in the vein of their joy compass, right? So if they are struggling, especially if you're in the teenage years and we're already kind of having to heal the complex trauma, we've kind of lost who we are, or we've been suffocated by the world's systems, and even the teens especially, who are engulfed in cell phones and screen time, they are struggling with dopamine saturation, that they have had too much of the synthetic reward and not enough of the natural reward, and so they actually literally become desensitized to what brings them joy. So a dopamine detox is going to be really important. I know it's painful, but we've got to take away the screens and get them outside, get their feet on the ground, get them walking in the forest. They're going to bitch and complain the whole way, and that's okay, because we do the hard things as parents because we love them. And I had someone ask me the question, because I made a video that said, if you don't want to do something, don't do it. And the question was, how does that relate to parenting? And we find ways to reframe the story we are telling ourselves. Instead of saying, oh, this is painful, I don't want to fight with my teenager, I want to have to struggle to get him out of the house and put his feet on the ground, we reframe it and we say, this does bring me joy, because I know in the end I love my child and I'm doing the right thing for him, and I can't wait, and I'm so excited to see how he blossoms and turns into the young man he was designed to be. And so a lot of it is just telling ourselves a new story. What else? We've got number 3 is ask the question, what do you need right now? We do not ask that question often enough. So we really need to get in touch with their needs and help them get in touch with their needs. So by asking, what do you need right now? So there's going to be that moment, if we're using the teen as the reference and we're pulling them away from the screen and we start to ask the question, what do you need right now? We're going to get resistance and a pissy attitude that says, I just want my phone, right? But keep asking that question in a gentle and spaced out way. Don't be annoying about it, but do continue to get them to think about, what do you actually need? What would make you happy right now? If we're going for a walk and you're uncomfortable, is the sun shining in your eyes? Would you like some sunglasses? right? And just get them to start thinking about what they need. Now, for the earlier ages, the younger kids, it's much easier. They have that fit. They have that moment of like, la, la, la. They don't even know what they need. But ask the question anyways. What do you need right now? Really get them to start thinking about, who am I? What's going on inside of me? And how do I take care of myself? Because this is not something that we're taught. We're taught to be reliant on our parents and our teachers very early on. And again, we get this shove out of the nest at 18 or 24, if they're lucky, which is the actual age that a human brain matures. And we're supposed to figure out, how do we take care of ourselves at that point when we haven't been thinking about it for our entire lives up until that point. So it really is critical thinking to start thinking about, what do I need right now? And then by nature, that leads into, how do I solve that challenge? How do I meet that need? How do I solve this problem? Ask it often, especially in the earlier ages. Constantly ask, what do you need right now? I'm hungry, I need food. Well, what would you like to eat? What do you need right now? Right? You're having a fit. Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling thirsty? What do you need right now? And get them to start thinking about those things. Number 4 is listen, don't teach unless they ask you to. And this is really critical and critically important to keeping their ears and their hearts open to you. Because if you're constantly barking at them and telling them, and I'm guilty of this is the only reason I know it, because I heard it and it resonated and I was like, man, I do this, where I'm telling them like, your thoughts create your reality. You have to stop thinking that way, and your body is not who you are. You are your awareness. And my kids look at me and they're like, Mom, you're making my head hurt. And so I've learned to stop, and they will come to me and they will have a problem. They'll tell me about something at school that day, and I will ask the question, do you want me to listen right now, or are you looking for some advice? And really be willing to just sit in the seat of listening and just being present with your kids, because truly the best present is your presence. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit. That was number 8. We'll come back, but it fits here, that we need to be willing to recognize that it's not about us. It's not about our ego. We're not here to teach them. In fact, they teach us just as much as we teach them. And so be willing to just listen and make sure that they have asked for your advice, because when they do ask for your advice, they're going to obtain it. They're going to integrate it. They're going to hear you at a cellular level, and they're going to embody what you're teaching, versus something that they didn't ask for and they don't want to hear, and then they've shut you out. Right? Number 5 is make boundaries for yourself, because when they see you making boundaries for yourself, they learn to make boundaries for themselves. Now, this is really important for both the parent and the child, obviously, because we as parents are doing so much for them. We are constantly on the go from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, especially as mothers. We're always doing things for them, and we lead to burnout. We lead to exhaustion. We overgive, which is part of our trauma response, and that teaches them to do the same. And so we need to be willing to take breaks, and I call it mommy chill time. They know what it means. My girls, especially, almost 5 and 7, they know, like, I love to have fun with you. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to have playtime at the gym. We're going to go grocery shopping. We love grocery shopping. We get snacks there. Then maybe we want to do something fun, go to the pool, something like that. But all of those things together is too much. And I understand that you as a young child have a lot of energy, and I know you want to play, and we're going to make sure that your needs are met. But right now, mommy needs some mommy chill time. And so we can sit together on the couch. We can read a book. We can nap. We can do whatever it is that mommy feels mommy needs in that moment. And it's usually about a half an hour, an hour. And then I'm ready to go again. And that's good. And so that shows the kids that we have to take breaks. We have to schedule in rest time, meditation time, quiet time, just as much as we do go and do. And that has so many connotations, from boundaries, respect, self-care, self-love, stillness and quiet. There are so many factors that are in that. So remember that being on the go all the time does not serve your children. You give too much, they learn to give too much, you're exhausted, you're frustrated, you're short, and they are not seeing the best version of you. So all around, it is necessary to have boundaries both for you and for them. Right? And then at the same time, I love to use mommy chill time for cuddle time. right? That we sit on the couch and we hug and we talk to each other about how great our day has been so far and the things we're going to do in the future. I tell them I love them every day. Hugs and kisses. This is 6 and 7 put together, but I hug and kiss them at night. I tell them I love them every day. I tell them how happy I am that they're in my lives, that the best thing that has ever happened to me is my children, and they know that. I'll ask, do you know who my favorite person is? And they know that I don't play favorites, and they're like, me, right? So both of them at the same time, yes, you are my children are my favorite people in the whole entire world. Now, if I were in a relationship, it would be my family, right? Because it is important to keep your partner as, and I don't want to say as number one, but really, I tend to prioritize my connection with Source first, my mission in life second, and my family third. And when I have a partner who is a good partner to me, that partner would come first and then children. But of course, it's a difficult conversation. I don't want anyone to feel less than, so they're all equally important. But I digress a little bit there. Make sure that they know that you appreciate them. Appreciate them for all that they are as they are, perfectly imperfect. That their gifts are amazing, their skills are awesome, the things they accomplish are great, but who they are, flaws and all, is beautiful and amazing, and I'm so grateful and I am so appreciative to have you in my life. And make sure that you say these things regularly, if not daily. I would say it, around their appreciation and the happy to have you in your life, I would say at least once a week. I love you every day, hugs and kisses every day. That is so important to their sense of worth and value and safety and their ability to love others, that they're going to turn around and they're going to be more compassionate and more loving. And so that comes from that place of being loved and feeling safe and cared for. I mentioned number 8 earlier. I'm going to say it again because it's so important. The best present you can give your children is your presence. Look them in the eye, get down on their level, be quiet, and listen. And truly hear what they have to say and echo back to them what they have said. Wow, you made this beautiful pink camper for your Barbie? That's so amazing. I'm so proud of you. You're so smart. What a good job. Now, what will you do with it? How will you play with it? And then be quiet again and just listen to the story. Right? And be present with them. Try to schedule in presence time, whether it's a half an hour at best, but a bare minimum, a half an hour a day where you're just engaging with them. This is where family dinner time came from. It's because it's the presence. It's listening and conversing and being with each other. And that can easily fall away in this day and age of being so busy and so many sports and so much going on. And especially my kids who like to nitpick. They're never hungry for a full meal, but we're still going to sit down and be together for dinner. Right? Number 9 is put down the resistance. So very, very important to remember this is not your agenda. This is not your life. And it's okay to let your child feel in control of their life. In fact, we want them to feel relatively in control of their life. So I like to think of myself as the bumpers on the edge of the bowling alley, right? So they puff up the bumpers that keeps the bowling ball from falling in the gutter. That's my job. I sit here on the outside of you to keep you safe and to keep you in your lane. But beyond that, it is your job to determine how you're going to move forward. Maybe it's in a straight line. Maybe it's a zigzag. That's okay. I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to make sure you have what you need. But beyond that, I want you to feel in control of your life. You need to be able to make choices. You need to be able to decide what's for you and what's not for you. Now, sitting on the couch 12 hours a day, watching screens, it's not going to be healthy and safe. But beyond that, we get to choose. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to play with? Right? So it's easy for us to get egoic around parenting. No, I said you're putting these shoes on now. Okay, well, if they wear the shoes that they want to wear, are they going to die? Maybe they might be a little cold. As long as it's not snowing, maybe the sandals in 50-degree weather might be okay. Maybe the socks with the sandals doesn't look great, and it might even be a little bit embarrassing. But you know what? That's okay. We have to learn to say, and that's okay. To put down the control and the resistance. It doesn't have to be that pair of shoes. It doesn't have to be that coat. It doesn't have to be that shirt. It doesn't have to be that apple. It doesn't have to be that food. that we take control and we take a sense of autonomy from them every time we feel we have to be in control. It's okay to be late to school. It's okay to break a rule. Now, all of this within reason. We don't want to teach them to be habitually late. But if they're having a one-off moment and they need a hug and your presence and your stillness, and that's going to make you late, your child's well-being is got to be the highest priority. Not being on time so the school's happy. Because then you're living for them and not for you or for your child. We have to remember emotional well-being over fighting, over arguing, over control. Number 10, remind them that they can do hard things. That oftentimes they will come to you and they will ask you to solve their problems because that's kind of been the habit, right? That's been the standard as they grow and they get older. We're stepping out of the dependency, and it's difficult to kind of gauge when have they moved into that place of being able to do things for themselves. But when they are able, and we need to really watch that so that we're not putting on their shoes at 7 years old, that when they're 3 and 4 and they're able to put on their shoes, we need to tell them, you can do hard things. I'm so proud of you. You're so strong and you're so smart. You can do this. And this is number 11, is let them solve their own problems. Because when we do things for them that they are able to do for themselves, we actually hurt them. It's enabling them to stay small. It's enabling them to remain dependent. And this even applies in the elderly years too, that when someone is capable of doing something for themselves, we need to allow them to do that for them. And it's difficult as a people pleaser or someone who has struggled with complex trauma, who's an overgiver. We want to help everybody, and it's difficult when I see you feeling pain because I feel your pain and I want to stop that for you. And I'll just fix it. I can do it so much faster. But really, we have hurt them because, especially even for the elderly, as we start to do everything for them, they decline even farther. And that goes for the kids too, that when we continue to do things for them for too long, we actually hurt them and they don't grow as quickly as they can. And that is the 11 points. I will add one other thing, that we collectively as a society have come from a super rigid form of parenting, earlier in my generation and generations prior to my generation, sort of the school of hard knocks, suck it up buttercup, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. They don't really care about you, how you feel, right? And that was too harsh. But then we kind of did the rubber band or the boomerang effect where we had bubble parenting, right? I'll do everything for you. It's okay, honey. Everybody gets a trophy. We coddle too much, right? And so it's time to come back to the middle, where we need to be soft and loving and caring and nurturing and supportive and willing to allow them to drive most of the time. 70% is what comes to mind. But we also have to have boundaries. We have to ask them to do the hard things. We have to ask them to learn to shake it off, that we can't always cry, that crying is good. If you need to express, this is another tip. I let my kids cry. I understand this is really hard. I see that you're struggling with this. I understand that it's very difficult. You're welcome to cry, but please, can you take that to your room and let me know when you've finished working through it? They don't need to torture everybody. It's not about the show. You are welcome to feel your feelings and let us know when you're done, right? So have some rules, have some boundaries, ask them to do difficult things. Make sure that you're asking them to get outside, to get the exercise, to learn how to ride a bike, the things of that nature, so that we're not crippling them by allowing them to be emotional beings and to be seen and heard and valued. So please do let me know if this resonates with you. I thought it odd that I was called to make something so out of the vein of where I've been in the previous videos, but it does really connect to the healing and the new construction team that we need to build. So again, please do like, subscribe, and share. I will say, if you are a regular listener, if you have made it this far, please do just drop a comment below. a smiley face emoji is enough. That helps the channel grow. It helps us reach more people. It gives me a sense of someone's out there listening, even though I see the view numbers. It is very supportive of me as well. So I would appreciate just a thank you or a thumbs up or whatever you can do. If you have not already subscribed, do click this button to make sure you're notified of all of the upcoming videos. Otherwise, click this button to continue the conversation, likely on a very different topic, but certainly will be beneficial for your growth and expansion. Again, I love you, and I will see you on the next video. Namaste, friends.